2019 of 2010 scale. So the first question is describe pathogenesis, laboratory diagnosis and prophylaxis of typhoid fever. The diagnosis and prophylaxis which is already discussed in 2020 May question paper. So we will see the pathogenesis. The pathogenesis of endemic fever depend upon number of factors including the infecting species and infectious dose. The ingested organisms survive exposure to gastric acid, gaining access to small bowel where they penetrate the epithelium, enter the lymphoid tissue and disseminate via the lymphatic or heterogeneous route. The chronic carrier state is established in estimated 1 to 5% of the cases. So, the ingested contaminated food, the ingested bacilli invade the small intestinal mucosa, taken up by the macrophage and transferred to regional lymph nodes. So, the Salmonella typhi multiply in the intestinal lymph node tissue, interact with enterocytes, and during the first 1 to 3 weeks of incubation period, end of the incubation period, bacilli enter the bloodstream or the bacteremia of the onset of typhoid fever. Bacteria invade gallbladder, biliary system and the lymphatic tissue of the bowel and multiply in high number, then pass into the intestinal tract by the stool. The second question is describe morphology of rabies virus. Describe the pathogenesis, laboratory diagnosis and prophylaxis of rabies. The morphology. The viron. Rabies viron consists of a helical nuclear capsid containing in a bullet-shaped lipoprotein envelope of 180 into 75 nanometer with one end rounded or conical with the other plain or concave. The proteins protruding from the lipid envelope are approximately 200 glycoprotein spikes of the virus responsible for viral attachment to cellular receptors and subsequent fusion activity. G also have heme agglutinin activity and has important antigenic site which are neutralized by specific antibody. Membrane or matrix or M protein. Beneath the envelope is a membrane or matrix protein layer and the major structural protein of the virus which may be invaginated by the planar end. Genome. The core of the viron consists of helically arranged ribonucleoprotein. The genome is a single-stranded RNA, linear, non-segmented, negative sense. So, pathogenesis of the virus. So, the viral inoculation from the rabid dog bite or a rabid animal. Virus replicate in the muscle. Then the third virus bind to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in the neuromuscular junctions. The virus travels within the axons in peripheral nerve through the axonal transport. Replication takes place in the motor neuron of the spinal cord and ganglia travels to the brain. There the infection occurs and encephalitis is a condition where the inflammation of the brain. This is caused by rabies viral infection. Then the virus enters the salivary glands and other organs of the victim. The laboratory diagnosis of rabies, the test performed on the samples of saliva, spinal fluid, biopsies of hair follicle at the nape of the neck. Saliva can be tested by virus isolation or reverse transcription followed by the polymerase chain reaction or RT-PCR. Serum spinal fluid are tested for antibodies to rabies virus. The skin biopsy specimens are examined for rabies antigen in cutaneous nerves at the base of the hair follicle. Rabies antigens by immunofluorescence. The specimens test cornea spheres and the skin biopsy from the face or the neck or saliva and antemortem and brain by postmortem. Direct immunofluorescence is done using anti-rabies serum tagged with fluorescent isocyanate. The use of monoclonal antibody instead of crude antiserum makes the test more specific. Virus isolation in cell culture. The more rapid and sensitive method of isolation of virus in tissue culture cell lines, the CPE is a minimal aid and so virus isolation is identified with more immunofluorescence. A positive IF test can be obtained as early as 2 days after the inoculation. Serology. Rabies antibodies can be detected in the serum and CSF of the patient by ELISA. High titer of antibodies are present in the CSF in the rabies but not after the immunization. The demonstration can therefore use for diagnosis. Detection of nucleic acid, reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction or RT-PCR testing can be used to amplify the parts of rabies virus genome from fixed or unfixed brain tissue for detection of rabies RNA. This technique can be confirmed DFA result and detect rabies virus in salivary and skin biopsy samples. Corneal test. Rabies virus antigen can be detected in live animals in corneal impressions or in frozen sections of skin biopsy by fluorescent antibody test. A positive result is indicative of rabies, but a negative result does not rule out the possibility of infection. Prophylaxis. This may be considered under the post-exposure prophylaxis. Specific prophylaxis is generally employed after the exposure to infection and is therefore called anti-rabic treatment. It consists of, first is the local treatment, anti-rabic vaccines, hyperimmune serum. Pre-exposure prophylaxis requires 3 doses of vaccine injected on the day 0, 7, 21 or day 0, 28 and 56. The booster dose is recommended after 1 year and then after every 5 years. Short notes. First one is different source of infection. In human beings, the commonest source of infection for human beings is human beings themselves. The parasite may originate from patients or a carrier. Humans play a substantial role in microbial reservoirs. A carrier is a person who harbors the microorganism without suffering from any ill effect because of it. Second is the animals. Reservoir host. Many pathogens are capable of causing infections in both human beings and animals. Therefore, animals may act as a source of infection of such organisms. These animals serve to maintain a parasite in nature and act as a reservoir and therefore called as reservoir host. Insects. Blood-sucking insects, mosquito, ticks, mites, flies, and lice may transmit pathogens to human beings, and diseases that cause them are called anthropoborne disorders. Insects that transmit infections are called vectors. Vector-borne transmission can be of two types, either mechanical or biological. Then soil and water. Soil, some pathogens can survive in the soil for long period. For example, spores of tetanus and gas gangrene. Water acts as a source of infection either due to contamination with pathogenic microorganisms like Shigella, Salmonella, Vibrio cholerae, and poliomyelitis virus. Food. Contaminated food may act as a source of infection of organisms, causing food poisoning, gastroenteritis, diarrhea, and dysentery. There are two primary types of food-related diseases: food-borne infections and food intoxicants. Chemical disinfectant. The characteristic of an ideal chemical disinfectant should have a wide spectrum of activity and must effective against wide variety of infectious agents like both gram-positive, gram-negative, acid-fast bacteria, bacterial endospores, fungi, and viruses. Be active, high dilutions and the presence of organic matter. Be effective in acid as well as alkaline media. Have speedy action. Have high penetrating power. Be stable. Be compatible with other antiseptic and disinfectant. Factors that determine the potency of disinfectants are concentration and stability of the agent, nature of the organism, the time of action, the pH value, temperature, the presence of organic, especially protein or other interfering substance, nature of the item to be disinfectant. High-level disinfection can generally approach sterilization ineffectiveness, whereas spore forms can survive intermediate level disinfection and many microbes can remain viable when exposed to a low-level disinfection. For example, glutaldehyde, hydrogen peroxide, peracetic acid, chlorine dioxide, and other chlorine compounds. The intermediate level disinfectants are used to clean the surface or instruments in which the contamination with bacteria, spores, and other highly resilient organisms are unlikely. Examples are alcohol, iodophor compounds, and phenolic compounds. Low-level disinfectants are used to treat non-critical instruments and devices as blood pressure cuff, electrocardiogram, electrodes, and stethoscopes. They do not penetrate through the mucosal surface or into sterile tissue, although these items come in contact with patients. Examples: quaternary ammonium compounds. Standard precautions. Standard precautions are meant to reduce the risk of transmission of bloodborne and other pathogens from unrecognized and unrecognized sources. They are the basic level of infection control precautions which are to be used as a minimum in care of all patients. Hand hygiene is the major component of standard precautions and one of the most effective methods to prevent transmission of pathogens associated with healthcare. In addition to hand hygiene, the use of personal protective equipment should be guided by risk assessment and the extent of contact anticipated with blood and body fluids or pathogens. Among sources of control other measures, respiratory hygiene or how the cough etiquette developed during the severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS outbreak is now considered as a part of standard precautions. Standard precautions should be minimum level of precautions used when providing care for all patients. Hand hygiene. Perform hand hygiene by means of hand rubbing or hand washing. Perform the hand washing with the soap and water if the hands are visibly soiled or exposure to spore-forming organism is proven or strongly suspected or after using the restroom. Otherwise, intersource perform hand rubbing with alcohol-based preparation. Personal protective equipment or PPE. Assess the risk of exposure to body substance or contaminated surface before any healthcare activity. Make this as a routine. Select PPE based on assessment of risk. Clean, non-sterile gloves, clean, non-sterile fluid-resistant gown, mask, eye protection or the face shield. Respiratory hygiene, cough etiquette. Educate our health workers, patients and visitors, covering the mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing. Hand hygiene after contact with the respiratory secretions. Better separations of persons with acute febrile respiratory symptom. Type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Type 3 reactions involve antibodies against soluble antigens circulating in the serum. The antigen-antibody complex are deposited in organs and cause inflammatory damage. The tissue damage that results from deposition of immune complex is caused by activation of complement, platelet and phagocytes, in essence an acute inflammatory response. Models of immune complex mediated disease are two basic models of immune mediated disease have been well characterized: the Arthur's reaction and serum sickness. Next question is laboratory diagnosis and prophylaxis of poliomyelitis. Diagnosis and laboratory testing to rule out or confirm the diagnosis of paralytic poliomyelitis. First is virus isolation. The likelihood of virus isolation is the highest from stool specimen, intermediate from pharyngeal swabs and very low from blood or spinal fluid. The serological testing, a four-fold titer rise between the acute and convalescent specimens such as poliovirus infection. CSF analysis. The CSF usually contains an increased number of leukocytes from 10 to 200 cells per cubic millimeter, primarily lymphocytes, and a mildly elevated protein from 40 to 50 mg per 100 ml. Provision of clean water. Improved hygienic practice and sanitation are important for reducing the risk of transmission in endemic countries. Immunization is the cornerstone of polio eradication. Two types of vaccines are available. There are inactivated polio vaccine IPV and live attenuated OPV. The oral polio vaccine has been the vaccine used predominantly in the past in the global campaigns and still used in the endemic area. It has an advantage of inducing both humoral and intestinal immunity, of being a cheap and easy to administer. Disadvantage is the small risk of vaccines of paralytic poliomyelitis, which occurs about 4 out of every 10 lakh vaccinated children and unvaccinated contact. Inactivated polio vaccine injected intramuscularly and does not carry any risk of vaccine-associated paralytic poliomyelitis. The disadvantage is that it does not confer the intestinal immunity and not effective for outbreak control. It is more expensive and requires better trained staff for the deliverance. Dermatophytosis. Dermatophytosis, also known as ringworm, a fungal infection of the skin, typically result in red, itchy, scaly, circular rash. The hair loss may occur in acute. The symptoms begin 4 to 14 days after the exposure. Multiple areas can be affected at a given time. Fungi thrive in moist, warm areas. This locker rooms, tanning beds, swimming pools, and skin fold. Accordingly, those that cause dermatophysis can be spread by using excessive exercise machines that have not been disinfected after use, or by sharing towels, clothing, footwear, or hairbrushes. Prevention. Advice often given include avoid sharing clothes, pots, equipment, towels, or sheets. Wash clothes in hot water with fungicidal soap after a suspected exposure to ringworm. Avoid walking barefoot. Instead, wear appropriate protective shoes in locker rooms and sandals at the beach. Avoid touching pets with the bald spot as they are often the carriers of the fungus. Life cycle of Taenia solium and its laboratory diagnosis. This is the life cycle. Parasitic and parasitological resources. Eggs are ingested by the appropriate intermediate host, the pigs and pork tapeworm, cattle for the beef tapeworm. Then the egg hatches in the small intestine and larva within migrate to the muscle and grows into a cysticerus. So this is the life cycle of Taenia solium. Then the laboratory diagnosis. The stool test commonly include microbiologic testing. The microscopic examination of stool after concentration aims to determine the amount of eggs. Specificity is extremely high for someone with training, but it is quite low because of the higher number of eggs in a small amount of sample. Stool tapeworm antigen detection using ELISA increases sensitivity of the diagnosis. Downside of the tool is that high cost. The ELISA reader and reagents are required and trained operators are needed. Stool PCR. This method can use species-specific diagnosis when proglotted material is taken from the stool. This method requires specific facilities, equipment, trained individual to run the test. Serum antibody test using immunoblot and ELISA, tapeworm specific circulating antibodies have been detected. These tests have both high sensitivity and specificity. Answer briefly. List 4 staphylococcal infections. The cutaneous infections, they include wound and burn infections, pustules, fungals or boils, carbuncles, stys, impetigo, and pemphigus neonatора. Deep infections like osteomyelitis, periostitis, tonsillitis, pharyngitis, sinusitis, bronchopneumonia, empyema, septicemia, meningitis, endocarditis, breast abscess, renal abscess, abscess in the other organs. Anaerobic culture media. Basic need in anaerobic culture media, the most adaptation of media of the reducing thioglycate and cysteine aims to reduce the oxygen to the water, brings down the redox potential 300 MV or less, can add redox indicators, preserving pink in the presence of oxygen that is colorless in the absence. Anaerobic culturing needs defined chemicals and environment. Pyrogallic acid, sodium hydroxide method can be used, again relies on the chemical reaction to generate an anaerobic environment, but catalyst rather than reducing agent. Anaerobic jars like gas packed system are suited to incubate plates in anaerobic atmosphere, useful if the brief exposure to oxygen is not lethal. Active immunity. Active immunity is induced after contact with foreign antigen. It is also known as adaptive immunity as it represents an adaptive response to a specific pathogen or other antigen. This involves an active functioning of the host immune apparatus leading to the synthesis of antibodies and the production of immunologically active cells. Once developed, it is long-lasting. When actively immunized, the individual encounters subsequent attack with the same antigen, immune response occurs more quickly. Natural active immunity results from either clinical or inapparent infection by a microbe. Example, person recovered from attack of measles developed natural active immunity. Artificial active immunity is induced by vaccine. Botulism. Botulism is it is derived from a Latin botulus, the sausage cause botulism. Botulism is a severe, often fatal form of food poisoning characterized by pronounced neurotoxic effect. The disease has been caused by a wide range of foods, usually preserved hams, large sausage of German variety, home preserved meats and vegetables, canned products such as fish, liver. Contact with organism itself is not required, hence the disease can be pure intoxication. powerful exotoxin produced by Clostridium botulinum is responsible for its pathogenicity. It differs, however, from a classic exotoxin that is not released during the life of the organism but appears in the medium only after death and autolysis of the organism. So, of three types: foodborne botulism, wound botulism, and infant botulism. Acid fast stain. Acid fast stain was discovered by Ehrlich in 1882, who found that after staining with aniline dye, tubercle bacilli resist decolorization with acid. Aniline dye can be made to penetrate the bacillus by the use of powerful staining solution that contains phenol and the application of heat. Once stained, the tubercle bacillus cannot decolorize even when powerful decolorizing agents for a considerable time and thus still remain in the stain when everything else microscopic preparation has been decolorized. Hence they are called acid fast bacilli. Acid fastness has been described to the high content and variety of lipids, fatty acid, and higher alcohol found in tubercle bacilli. Cancer forest disease. It's a tick-borne viral hemorrhagic fever endemic to southwestern part of India. The disease is caused by a virus which is in a family of Flaviridae. It is KFDB is transmitted to human through the bite of infected heart ticks, which acts as a reservoir of KFDB. The symptoms of the disease include high fever with frontal headache, chills, severe muscle pain, vomiting, and other GI symptoms. Bleeding problems may occur for 3 to 4 days after initial symptom onset. Patients may experience abnormally low blood pressure and low platelet, red cells, and white blood cell count. After 1 to 2 weeks of symptoms, some patients recover without complication. However, the illness is biphasic for subset patients of 10 to 20% who experience a second wave of symptoms at the beginning of their third week. These symptoms include fever and signs of neurological manifestations. Prevention is by vaccination as well as preventive measures such as protective clothing and tick population control. Giardia lambilla. It is a flagellate parasitic microorganism that colonizes and reproduces in the small intestine, causing diarrheal condition known as giardiasis. The parasite attaches to the epithelium by ventral adhesive disc or sucker and reproduces via binary fission. It does not spread via bloodstream, nor does it spread to other parts of GI tract, but remains confined to the lumen of small intestine. It is an outer membrane that makes possible to retain life even when the outside of the host body, and which make it tolerant to chlorine disinfection. These trophocytes absorb their nutrients in the lumen and their anaerobes. If the organism is split and stained, the characteristic pattern resembles familiar smiley face symbol. Microfilaria, which we have already discussed. Dimorphic fungi. Dimorphic fungi that can exist in the both mode. This is usually brought by the change in temperature, and fungi are also known as thermally dimorphic fungi. An example is Thalaromyces malani. It's a human pathogen that grows as a mold at the room temperature and the yeast as the human the body temperature. The term dimorphic is commonly used for fungi that can grow both as yeast and filamentous cells. However, many of these dimorphic fungi actually can grow in more than these two forms. Dimorphic is thus often used as a general reference for fungi being able to switch between yeast and filamentous cells, but not necessarily limiting more shape. Cryptococcal meningitis. Cryptococcal meningitis is a serious infection of the brain and spinal column that can occur in people living with HIV. It is caused by the fungus Cryptos neoformans. This fungus is very common in the environment and can be found in soil and in bird droppings. The soil is kicked up into the air and can be inhaled to the lungs. From there, the fungus can travel to the blood to the spinal column and brain where it can cause the disease. The cryptococcal meningitis results in inflammation or swelling of the brain. This can be extremely debilitating and painful or damage the brain. The fungus can also cause disease of the lungs, less commonly in the kidneys, skin, urinary tract, and lymph nodes. There are two ways to diagnose cryptococcal meningitis. The first involves looking for the fungus in the bloodstream through the simple blood test. Second most common way to test the CSF. Thank you.